What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris Surratt bringing another edition of the Car Concierge Show Weekend Review. On today's show, we're going to touch in on UFC 308 that occurred last night. Awesome bouts, specifically with Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria. We're also going to check out a little story about Biden's administration authorizing a lithium plant or a lithium to be made here in Nevada. In Nevada. And last but not least, we're going to visit a story that we did last week when we talked about a man that was talking about his love and hate for his Mach E, and talk about a situation that happened to him a month ago with the same Mach E when they started, pretty much stopped working. So, first up, we're going to check out UFC 308, and of course, UFC, we know we love it. It's always a great time, always a great event, always great matches. So, of course, we're going to talk about the top three. And the third to last bout was a fantastic fight back and forth between Magomed and Ankalaev against Alexander Rakic. Great fight, really back and forth. Lots of action. Didn't do too much groundwork. Both of them continued to stay on their feet and throw blows, which is always a good fight, specifically if you're into the brawling type of situation. And of course, in the end, Magomed Ankalaev defeated Alexander Rakic. It was a unanimous decision. Could have went either way in my mind. I really thought that it was just too unevenly matched. So the unanimous decision thing, I really didn't think it was unanimous. I thought it'd probably be split, but you just can't let it get to the judges. So, next up, it was the co-main event between Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. And Robert Whittaker is one of those fighters that we've watched a lot over the years. Not a very successful fighter. He's been in a lot of fights, but he's more of a brawler. So, whenever it's a situation where he's in a fight with a fighter that's going to take it to the ground a lot, he's not going to be very successful. And, of course, this was that situation. Khamzat Chimaev took him to the ground immediately, tried to submit him several times, and then just put him into a leg lock and started beating the brakes off him to the point where he got submitted. So, of course, great fight. Robert Whittaker, I think he's probably at his wit's end when it comes to the UFC. He's lost a lot of fights, so I don't know if we're going to see a lot more of Robert Whittaker, but Khamzat we're going to see all over the place, and he's going to be dominating. So, last but not least, we're going to talk about Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria. Great fight. Max Holloway really put on like he always does. Ilya's just a great fighter. He's a great shooter. He's a great boxer. Really was keeping Max at arm's length, and then of course hit Max with a couple of great shots at the end. Great straight right that really rocked him, and then just started chopping him down after that. Chopped him down a lot, took him around the ring until he hit him with this over the hand right and just put Max Holloway down, and it was over after that. Just a great fight. Always a great fight when Max fights. He has taken a decline. Either he's started to fight better fighters over his last couple fights, or he's declined a little bit in his skills, as it were. But still a fantastic fight. Big ups to Ilia Topuria. He's a champion. He's going to continue to be a champ until somebody knocks him off of that throne. And unfortunately today it was not Max Holloway. So let's keep it going. Next up, we're going to talk about the Biden administration approving a lithium plant over in Nevada. So we're going to check out a couple videos about this. I wanted to, because a couple of ways to look at this, so I wanted to look at it a lot of different ways. So real quickly, Gonna check out a couple of videos.
It's Benzinga bringing Wall Street to Main Street.
The Biden administration has approved a federal permit for a lithium boron mine in Nevada, advancing a key component of the U.S. clean energy agenda. The project aims to support the domestic supply of lithium for electric vehicle batteries, aligning with Biden's climate goals. Conservation groups intend to sue, although federal agencies concluded the mine won't harm an endangered wildflower. The mine will start construction in 2025, with production planned for 2028, supplying lithium for 370,000 vehicles annually.
So, in that first little article or video that we watched, the first thing that pops out in your head is the fact that he's saying that, of course, they're going to picket or protest this mine because of the wildflowers, and which, you know, it gets you to talking about how much of, I want to say this, the tree hugging situation this world is in, and how the ability that not only the government but entities like, you know, the U.S. conservation and stuff like that have the ability to stop growth. We are behind with China and other countries like that because the government puts its foot first into most entities, most companies, and to make sure that it has some kind of control over that company, that to the point where that company has to work to the point where whatever it does, it's in the best interest of that country. And we don't do that here in America. It's more about making people happy, making the government financially happy, and then, of course, and the back end of that is the desire to make sure that we don't hurt the earth and, you know, keep things safe, like flowers that might die out, or animals, you know, extinction and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where we are hurting ourselves in a situation where we're trying to not hurt one thing, but we're hurting another, you know, whereas we're not trying to hurt a wildflower because we don't want this plant to go up, because if we put this plant up, this wildflower may die. But we know that if we do not do this lithium plant and this lithium mine, that we're going to be behind China in the ability to make EV vehicles and make lithium plants for other things other than EV vehicles, but other uses of lithium, you know, for hydrogen and plants and batteries and all sorts of things like that. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a really double-edged sword when it comes to the desire to grow and then the desire to not hurt other things, if you know what I mean. So let's check out another direction that this is talks about, and it's more about the money.
Taking note of what happened with the U.S. Interior Department giving their approval of a lithium mine in Nevada. This is something that was in the process for about 6 years. As the U.S. is still slow to adopt electric vehicles, or pure EVs, I should say.
And that's a good point. It's been in the works for 6 years. In those 6 years, how much has China advanced on us in EV growth? How much has China advanced on us in the growth and implementation of lithium batteries and the use of them? These are the things that put us behind. You know, I don't like, you know, government involvement in companies per se, but to some degree we're going to have to good government involvement in these companies to maintain that we make sure that these companies are America first, because that is the biggest thing. If the company is not America first and it doesn't care if America succeeds and it's all about the bottom line and all about the financials, then America suffers. And that is one of the main problems that we're dealing with right now, specifically in the automotive industry. The ability to use cheaper labor and cheaper steel and cheaper products from overseas has caused the automotive industry to literally be destroyed. I mean, the factories and all the other problems that the automotive industry is experiencing is because of the ability of the overseas countries to not only innovate things a lot quicker and to put out things a lot quicker, but to put these things out cheaper and to cut price on, or to be able to put these products out in our streets at a lot cheaper price than we can as Americans, as U.S. automakers. And of course, if people see that things are cheaper, that's the way they go. It's just the nature of people. If they see a product and it's still a good product as comparable to this other product that's a lot more expensive, what direction are they going to go? So, it's just all the ways that the U.S. can stop growth is ridiculous. Whether it be, not hurting the environment, whether it be not hurting a particular animal. These are things that other countries don't abide by, and of course it does put us behind the line, but of course I see why it's there.
How significant is this?
Well, it's extremely significant, and especially since I have been one of the few voices that has been extremely optimistic about EVs making a comeback after there's been a lot of, I think, somewhat political scandal about the fact that EVs are over based on who wins the next election. And clearly Tesla, of course, is going to be a big winner from this decision, so I champion it. Of course, there's always going to be a word of caution because we're heading into a deglobalization. However, if we just take that out of the equation for a moment, and of course, depending on who wins the election, if this continues to be approved for 2025 is another question. But the bottom line is this: it's supposedly going to make another 370,000 batteries, lithium batteries, for EVs by 2028. And what has really stopped a lot of people from renewing their buying of EVs or getting used EVs or even being able to rent EVs has been the issue of the batteries and the charging. So I think it's a fantastic piece of information, and it certainly puts U.S. less dependent on their two major lithium sources, which of course have been China and Chile.
All right, so, and of course, what she was speaking about, of course, is deglobalization, how this lithium plant would help Tesla and all these other American EV companies to advance, to start to get these parts from us, the workers that will be hired to make these plants and to make these batteries, the workers that are going to be hired to mine these lithium mines. These is all great opportunities for America, for the United States, specifically for people over in Nevada. So, it's about growth. It's about a necessity for us to grow, for us to be better, to make America great again when it comes to growth and production and facilities and plants and job opportunity. All of these things coincide with what we're talking about when it comes to this lithium plant. And we're going to read the story because we're going to go to Automotive News and we're going to read its story about this. And I want to check this out specifically to talk about the whole idea on why it's been 6 years since this has not been up, and the difficulties that they're going to have in the future when it comes to putting this plant or putting this mine up and running. Alright, so of course, Automotive News, they got a new setup, so it's all funky fresh now, clean and white. This is from October 24th, and Biden, what the heck? That's some cheap junk here. Biden administration approves Ford EV suppliers Nevada lithium mine, okay? The U.S. Interior Department on Thursday gave final approval to Ioneer's Riolet Ridge lithium mine in Nevada, the first domestic source of the battery metal to be permitted by President Joe Biden's administration, and one that will become a key supplier to Ford Motor Company and other electric vehicle manufacturers. Now, that first line tells us that Biden administration, they've been probably applying for these lithium mines for years, at least the last couple of years that Biden's been in office for it. So in the last 3.5 years that Biden and Harris have been in office, they have been not allowing these lithium mines to go through. I don't know why, but let's keep reading. Shares of the Australia-based critical minerals miner jumped more than 20% in New York trading on Thursday afternoon before easing down. The approval ends a more than 6-year review process during which regulators, pioneer, and conservatists tussled over the fate of a rare flower found at the mine site, a tension that exposed the sometimes competing priorities between climate change mitigation efforts and biodiversity protection. That's what I'm saying, 6 years because of a rare flower. Like you can't get the seeds for the flower and plant it somewhere else. That's ridiculous. The permit, which had been expected by the end of the year, comes amid a flurry of recent moves by Biden officials to support critical minerals production and offset China's market dominance. Why now? Now, I will go back and say that this has been in a review for 6 years. So it kind of means that it was in review when Trump was in office. So, it's a possibility even Trump as a president was denying the situation too, because they didn't think that, or maybe they wanted to save this flower. I don't know. Okay, where we at? It also unlocks a $700 million loan from the U.S. Department of Energy, as well as a $490 million equity investment from Siboney Stillwater to fund the project. This is a science-based decision, lawyer Daniel Davis, the Interior Department's acting deputy secretary, told Reuters. We're trying to send a signal that there's no topic with greater importance than addressing climate change. It's got to do with climate change. The U.S. Bureau of Land Management, which is controlled by the Interior Department, on Thursday issued the Violet Ridge Project's record of decision, essentially the mine's permit, and said the project will include significant protections for the local ecosystem and help create hundreds of jobs in the rural region. Excellent. The project, roughly 225 miles north of Las Vegas, contains enough lithium to power roughly 370,000 EVs each year. Construction is slated to begin next year, with production commencing by 2028, a timeline that would make Violet Ridge one of the largest U.S. lithium producers alongside Albemarle and Lithium Americas. The U.S. Geological Survey has labeled lithium a critical mineral vital for the U.S. economy and national security. We're proud to be the first U.S. lithium mine permitted by the Biden administration, James Callaway, Ioneer's chairman, told Reuters. The project will extract lithium as well as boron, a chemical used to make ceramics and soaps, from a clay-like deposit. The lithium will be processed on-site into two main derivatives used to make batteries, and the company said it plans to recycle half of all the water used at the site, higher than the industry average. Ford and a joint venture between Toyota Motor Corporation and Panasonic Inc. have agreed to buy lithium from the mine. In addition to lithium and boron deposits, Violet Ridge is home to the Tiehm's buckwheat flower, which is found nowhere else on the planet and was declared an endangered species in 2022. So the flower incident didn't come up till 2022. It wasn't an incident prior to that. It's interesting. The Center for Biological Diversity and some other conservation groups thus oppose Ioneer's projects, saying it would push the flower to the brink of extinction. After the permit was announced on Thursday, the CBD said it plans to sue the federal government to block the project. By greenlighting this mine, the Bureau of Land Management is abandoning its duty to protect endangered species like Tiehm's buckwheat, and is making a mockery of the Endangered Species Act, said the CBD's Patrick Donnelly. The Interior Department's Daniel Davis declined to comment on the potential litigation, but noted that changes made to the mine's operating plan as a result of the permit review process includes a new design plans and propagation efforts that included construction of a greenhouse. Department officials also released an opinion stating their belief that the mine would not harm the flower. We have run a transparent process, said Daniel Davis. The company was willing to reconfigure its entire project to take into account Tiehm's buckwheat. The death of more than 17,000 flowers near the mine site in 2020 sparked allegations of a premeditated attack. Pioneer denied harming the flowers. The government later blamed thirsty squirrels. Okay, all right, okay. I'm sorry. So, serious stuff. But that's what I'm saying, man. We what we're talking about is that we literally will allow that the U.S. to become a world that is behind other countries when it comes to the production of certain things because, you know, we're too worried about destroying the buckwheat plant. I'm just saying, it's crazy to me that, you know, we complain about so much. We complain about how we're behind China in EVs. We complain about all of the imports that we're getting from China and all these other countries. And we sit here with the ability to not need to rely on these countries for these resources, but we stop ourselves from doing that because we want to save the buckwheat plant. It sounds so ridiculous to me, and to the whole knowledge that, you know, we could have been to a point 6 years ago where we could have rivaled China when it comes to EV vehicles and the manufacture of EV vehicles, and we could have been to the point where we had, you know, lithium plants and lithium factories building these batteries and all these opportunities for all these people to have these jobs doing this in Nevada and all these other places in the world. But we're being stopped from doing that because of the buckwheat plant. Who doesn't find that hilarious? That's got to be so hilarious that we would put ourselves behind other countries when it comes to all kinds of things, not only just the building of lithium plants and, you know, the opportunities and all the money we've lost in tariffs and imports and all these things, and we're just doing it to ourselves. That's the problem. We're doing it to ourselves. We're allowing so much bureaucracy and oversight and desire to make people happy to destroy us. This is all, you know, stopping this mind from destroying this planet is only, what is it doing? What is this buckwheat plant doing for us that it would stop us from being able to make money and to grow? That's the question. That's the question. It's just outrageous to me. It is so outrageous to me that this is what we're talking about. This is why we're behind the 8 ball when it comes to so many things. Alright, so last but not least, last week I did a story about a gentleman. He was talking about his Mach E. And we were talking about the future of EV vehicles, the fact that you're eventually going to have to get an EV vehicle depending on how old you are. I'll probably be dead before then. But some of y'all going to have to get EV vehicles, so we were going to do a review of EV vehicles from week to week so you can get used to them, get an idea about them, and get a desire on what EV vehicle might be right for you. Well, story I did last week, the young man talked about what he loved and what he hated about his Mach E. But then that story was from a couple years ago. So now we have the opportunity a couple years down the line to go back to this young gentleman and see how he's doing with his Mach E now after 2 years. Because that's what's important. Research and development, my friends. Research and development time. Because EV vehicles have not been on the road for a very long time, so we really don't know how they're going to be reacting in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and how reliable they will be in the future. This young gentleman is going to give us a view into his Mach E situation after a couple years. Let's check it out.
Everything is going crazy on this car. It seems like every system of this car is fried. This is much worse than I thought. All right, came out here this morning, key in hand right here, push the button, door did not open. Normally it detects the key and the door opens. So I did manually push the button to unlock the doors, and then it opened after that. So I don't know why. I came over here to unplug this, and this light here was all orange. Close the door, put my foot in the brake to start the car, push the button, and it says stop safely now, full accessory power active. You can ignore these lights in the camera, those are only visible on the camera. Full accessory power active. So I got both keys in the car just to make sure the key's working, and it's not doing anything. So the air conditioner's on, it looks like the car is on, my seat is pulled up, you know, the screen is on, everything is on, but I can't do anything.
More connectivity.
It won't shift. I can't turn the shifter. It just says stop safely now. I am seeing that little red button right there. Maybe I can zoom in on that. Looks like a car with the exclamation point on it and the battery. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before. Let me turn it off. So I just pushed that. Everything turns off. System off to save battery. I don't recall seeing this before. So this car is broken. Now I did check out the plug over here. There's no red light or orange light on this, so this seems to be working fine. So what I have here is a dead Mach E. So I got to go call service and see what's going on with this car. All right, so I looked this up online, and according to this AI summary, it says it likely indicates a serious issue with the vehicle's electrical system related to charging, potentially caused by a faulty charging cable, which is not the case. That's a brand new charging cable. A problem with the charging port or a malfunction within the battery itself. It said it could be a battery issue where the battery cells are damaged or overheating of the battery due to rapid charging.
This is my biggest fear when it comes to EV vehicles, because as a service manager over at a dealership and a used car manager over at a dealership, I dealt with a lot of Priuses, specifically Priuses, used Priuses, and when the battery in these vehicles die and they're not covered under warranty, you're talking about upwards of $12,000-$15,000 to replace that battery. $12,000 to $15,000. And you know, because EV vehicles are so new and they haven't been on the road for very long, there's no real conceptive way for people to tell you how long a battery's life is, how long an EV vehicle's battery life is. It's almost impossible to say, because there's no amount of research and development, and most EV vehicles haven't been on the road to the point where, you know, they're having these problems, but we're dealing with that now, so let's continue to watch.
It wasn't rapid charging, it was like the 8-hour charge. Faulty battery connections, battery management system malfunction. I read that it could be like a broken cooling fan on the battery. Thankfully, this thing's still under warranty, and I got the extended electronics warranty with this, which may prove to be useful.
He was smart.
Okay, so I just called Ford Roadside Assistance.
That is direly important, my friends. He is very, very smart, because, you know, specifically with these electric vehicles, they're going to have to change out how the warranty situations work. Standardly, warranties on most vehicles are 3 years, 36,000 miles on basic things, and then when it comes to like engines and powertrains and transmissions, you might get a warranty of maybe 5 years, 60,000 miles. Some places have warranties up to 5 years, 150,000 miles, but of course it probably just a powertrain warranty in that situation. So, and when it comes to EV vehicles, they have to change the warranty situation specifically to the electronics of it. Like he just spoke of, he got an electric a warranty that covered the electronics, and that's direly important, specifically if you have to worry like I do of these batteries dying, because if one of these batteries dies, out of pocket, you're going to be in trouble. So, I'm going to hear that again.
I read that it could be like a broken cooling fan on the battery. Thankfully, this thing's still under warranty, and I got the extended electronics warranty with this, which may prove to be useful. Okay, so I just called Ford Roadside Assistance. They're on their way, but we have a problem. This car is going to need to be towed, and it's not only in my garage, but it is completely locked down. I can't shift it into neutral. Try right now. Put the brake on, accessory mode. That is locked. So they're going to have to drag this bad boy out of the garage with all four wheels locked up. And as you're about to find out, there's not a lot of clearance here for a tow truck. And you don't want to drive up on that hill because that's where the septic tank electrical box is and everything. So this is going to be an interesting challenge. All right, so we figured out how to get this thing into neutral. You hold the brake down, you hold the accelerator down, and then you can shift this, but now it's back into park. It's not going now. Everything is going crazy on this car.
Front system producing sounder. What?
Just hit 40,000 miles. Car's dead. But we must be patient. We must not have anxiety. This reminds me of a favorite scripture of mine. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow, or reap, or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Words of wisdom.
Wow,
okay, so hopefully documenting this might help someone who has a similar problem in the future. So the car's gone totally haywire. It's flashing every single light that it could possibly flash. It seems to have gone into some sort of shutdown mode. We can't get it into neutral at all. The tow truck driver has experience with this, and he said if we connect a power charger to the 12-volt battery, that may be able to, I don't know, give us enough juice to pull it out. Now, keep in mind, this was charging most of the night, so it's got 84% battery, but there is apparently another smaller battery, 12-volt battery, under the frunk. But as you can see, in my garage, there's no room to get to it. Lovely. Wow. So I guess the only way we can get this car backwards is to drag it. You know, I just can't imagine a car that has massive batteries in it and has nearly a full charge requiring a 12-volt battery to start. And all we need the 12-volt battery to do is allow it to shift into neutral. To me, it's just an insane design flaw. Gotta once again give a shout out to Tesla Model 3 dual motor. Never had a single issue with this. The Mach E, not so much. Now we can't get in. Wow, we can't even get in the car anymore. And now the car is haunted. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but the car is making a strange knocking sound and vibrating. Nice. Anyway, we're gonna try to drag the car, wheels locked and everything, a few feet so we can get access to the front to try to charge that 12-volt battery. Here we go. I had no idea that was under there. So positive and negative for charging the 12-volt is right under that little switch.
That's just to open the hood.
Oh, that's to open the hood. Oh, gotcha. Interesting. It's basically going to give it power to pop the frunk. Oh, it's not doing it? Okay, so we were able to drag it a few feet, but we were unable to get this frunk open. His charger couldn't do it, and my charger couldn't do it. This car's completely locked down, making these weird knocking sounds still. So what he said is that we need to get another tow truck with a wheel dolly tow truck. I guess put the dollies under the front wheels. So I'm waiting for those guys to show up now. Anyway, we will continue having a good attitude and we will not have stress. It is all in God's hands. All right, we got the second tow truck here now and we were able to connect the chargers directly to his truck. The other guy didn't have these chargers to get this frunk open. All right, guys, so far this is working. We were able to get it into neutral by charging up the 12-volt in there. And we're hoping that it stays that way. So if this happens to you guys, you got to remove this panel, and the 12-volt battery is right over there, right where my finger is. You just charge that up, which again completely blows my mind that you have to connect to that just to open this and then connect to that. We have massive batteries under the car that have 84% battery. I just don't get why you have to mess around with a 12-volt battery. Anyway, so far so good. All right, guys, there she goes. I've never seen a car towed on dollies before. But with the EV, it is totally necessary. Looking forward to seeing what Ford says about this and does about it.
All right, so we definitely going to monitor this and we're going to see what the end result. But let's face it, the biggest problem with EV vehicles is the amount of research and development that they have on them, the lack of knowledge on, you know, what happens. It's only 40,000 miles this vehicle's locking up. He's having problems with the batteries, and that's, I'm telling you, I've had a lot of experience with hybrids particularly, because EVs themselves have not been out that long, but I have a lot of experience with hybrids. I have a lot of experience when hybrid batteries die, particularly in Priuses, and I know how expensive they are. I know how weird it is. You have to jump them and all this type of things like that there, but Priuses are good vehicles. I just bought one the other day, so Priuses are great vehicles, but when it comes to straight EVs, it's the knowledge base. We just don't have the knowledge base. As a consumer, we don't have the knowledge base. We have to all, from top to bottom, rely on the dealership, rely on the manufacturer to take care of us, and that's going to take us out of the I take care of it myself mode. I will, particularly for me, I like to work on my own cars. I like to replace my own alternators and starters and, stuff like that. And maybe that's part of the reason why I buy the cars that I do, because the idea that I have a car that I can't fix myself, or I'm going to be stuck on the side of the road waiting on a tow truck, always bothers me. But of course, it's going to happen. I'm just human. I can't do everything. I'm not a full-blown mechanic, and I'm not particularly versed in electric vehicles. So if I get one, then I'm going to be at the mercy of the dealership and the mechanics there to get these cars fixed, because I'm not in the knowledge. And that's going to be for a lot of us, for a lot of the, street mechanics and a lot of the guys that do the repairs on the side. These EV vehicles are going to be designed that we can't work on them. We can't fix them at home, and we're going to be forced to take it to the dealership, which for the dealership is a good thing, but for the average American, it is not. So, let's face it, guys, it don't look like the Mach E. This particular Mach E is a great thing. You saw he had the Tesla. He's happy as hell about his Tesla, but he's not happy about the Mustang Mach E. So we're gonna have to take back our positive idea that you should go get a Mach E for right now until we see his other review. And maybe it's just something. Cars break down all the time. This may be nothing. But if your only vehicle is going to be a Mach E and this is something that might happen, we got to do our research. Alright guys, I'm going to let y'all get up out of here. It's a long show. My Bears is playing, so we got to get back to that. As always, please like, share, and subscribe to the show. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me if there's more stuff you need to know about renting cars, buying cars. If you're in a car accident, we're going to start doing some tutorials. That's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start doing tutorials. We're going to make them into shorts. We're just going to make sure you know exactly what you need to do when it comes to the buying, selling, repairing, and maintaining of your vehicle. And I'm out. I'll see y'all later. Peace.